I started a massive journey of making lists of different characters and their backgrounds, and I noticed one thing, and that's a lot of them tend to be of one certain color. I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today I count down my top 10 green protagonists in video games.
Second Opinion Games.
So what do I mean by green? Well, they can't actually just be wearing green, they have to be green themselves. So an honorable mention goes out to Swamp Thing on the NES, because not only is he green in color, but he's also all natural, because he's just like weeds and stuff. I guess there is some toxic waste involved, but the game itself is really not that good, and there's only one of them. It's not really an action game, but it is a game where you have to dodge everything that's trying to kill you, and in this game, everything probably will. It's a total crap game, but the guy is green. Number 10, the Incredible Hulk. He has been in a crap ton of video games, a lot of the early ones made by US Gold. There's even a Sega Master System game. This is the Super Nintendo version. Is it better than the Master System version? Well, you better hope it would be, at least in graphics, but gameplay is not as good. Matter of fact, it's number 10 on the list because the Hulk usually controls like total crap. Even on the PlayStation 1, they could not do him justice, with a terrible storyline, much like the movies themselves. And heck, even in fighting games, he isn't even always green and wears the purple pants. And you think in a fighting game, the Hulk would be the most devastating character, but no, he usually goes down pretty darn fast. He is pretty good though, if you know how to play as him, but most of these fighting games, I just kind of stay away from. The Incredible Hulk is less than incredible in my book. Number 9, the Toxic Avenger. He had 2 games, both under the Toxic Crusaders, which was a Saturday morning cartoon based off of the kind of almost rated R movies that were really badly done. And the NES version is also incredibly badly done. The strong punch is connected to the select button, which means you have to grip your controller very awkwardly in order just to play the game. However, the better version is on the Sega Genesis. And I can just say, I don't understand anything that's going on in this game whatsoever. You start off on roller skates, you swing your mop around. I don't understand the power-ups, even though sometimes they're really cool. Like spinning around in a circle like an undefeatable beast. You do clobber a whole lot of enemies here, even take out some helicopters and sometimes jump in them. Not many side-scrolling beat-em-ups let you do that, and that's why I really love this game. That, and it just has so much personality. Even though it is kind of crap, I guess when you look at it as a B movie and a B video game, well, then you fully understand. Or never understand this one, but it is worth checking. Number 8, Gex. Starting off its life on the 3DO and becoming a mascot of the system, it also got ported over to the PlayStation 1 as a 2D action platformer with a movie theme. The first level's theme is the graveyard, and if you ever watch people play, well, you really only ever see the graveyard because of one major flaw. The fact that you have to explore every single level looking for a TV remote to open up the next level. This is highly annoying. If they just made it where you could move through the level and make it to the end of the screen, well, then it would be a far better game. Also, he seems to talk an awful lot, not as much as Bubsy, but it does get annoying over time. There's also some interesting things about the game, like being able to walk up walls. We got a sequel on the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 1, and they look almost the same. The Nintendo 64 version has a shorter draw distance, and the screen image is a bit softer. I think they actually just ported the PlayStation version over to Nintendo 64, and the Nintendo 64 has a little bit better camera movement, but it doesn't make the game better. Overall, I think I'd rather be playing Gex 3, where they take a Playboy Playmate model to flirt with you. If you want gamers to play your game longer than 5 minutes, well then definitely implement this feature, and I guarantee you will become everyone's favorite game. The platforming here feels really fluid, and even though Gex has a little bit of blue across his back, he definitely deserves a spot on this list, if not just for that Playmate, but also also for the fact that in the first game, there is this creature with Freddy Krueger's shirt and also Jason Voorhees masks and a chainsaw for a hand. That level of awesomeness is just not seen in video games today. Number 7, Blanca from the Street Fighter series. He is full of electricity and he looks like a giant beast. Even playing Blanca in the Street Fighter, the movie, the game, is somewhat of a good time if you really happen to love bad video games. However, he looks just like regular flesh colored. Sure, the versus screen shows that he is green, but then when it pops over to the gameplay, well, he's not green. What, did they just not give him makeup for the motion capture? I have no idea. This breaks all the continuity, but I still absolutely love it. His moveset is kind of interesting, shooting off the sparks, doing a roll forward at you really fast, or maybe this hard kick, which is sort of just like a backflip that can sort of take out jump kicks towards you. This is a really cool character overall. And when other people pick up Ryu, I go to Blanca, mostly because he's green. Number 6, Bug. A whole 2 games that we're going to talk about with Bug. However, I didn't feel like playing Bug 2 because I think it's subpar. Yes, it made it all the way up to number 6 with just one good game. But that one good game is definitely enough for Bug. You do control him through different movie scenes. Again, it's going off the movie star trope. He doesn't talk very much though, thankfully. And the bosses are what really steals the show here, looking like a bit of claymation mixed with, CGI from the time, and they're really fun. Most of the time it's just memorizing patterns and then you can quickly defeat them, and the levels themselves are 3D and 2D mixed together, and I just love this. Your Bug itself is a 2D sprite in a somewhat 3D world, so it's just an overall great experience from start to finish, and it's one of those Sega Saturn games that I always keep coming back to because of how interesting it is. You could walk up walls. Sure, he's just a copy of Gex, but done a lot better, and he made me fall in love with the Sega Saturn, so he earned his right as one of the best green good guys. Number 5, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Some people might not like the fact that I didn't have the Battletoads on here, and that's because I thought the Turtles were far more iconic. And let's face it, Turtles are better than Toads any day of the week. They had some terrific beat-em-up fighting games that you could just compete with your friends and destroy everyone as Donatello because he is the best turtle as far as fighting goes. Heck, even the NES 2D side-scrolling game knew that. Also, sometimes you can swim in this game, and other times you can't. I guess if you're floating through sewer water, you can. The music in Turtles games always steals the show, and even if you're not into the 2D side-scrolling or the fighting games, the beat-em-ups will certainly win you over because the Turtles are not only iconic in the movies and television, they also bring you some of the best video games ever. Number 4, Croc, a cute little alligator that saves a whole bunch of little critters called gobos, and you have an excellent 3D action platformer for both the PlayStation 1 and the Sega Saturn. I'm doing the PlayStation 1 version here because my Sega Saturn copy, well, it got a little bit corrupted, and now it just looks like I'm tripping balls every time I decide to play. These older systems sometimes don't work forever, so you might want to sell them and maybe emulate before it's just too late and you lose your money. Or hold on to them because sometimes I like doing a whole lot of acid and playing video games. Anyway, Croc has a tail whip, he has a ground pound, and he has excellent platforming. If you thought the controls were too stiff in the first game, well, Croc 2 will definitely win you over. The controls are far more fluid, the cuteness has been turned up 100%, and the fact that you have minecart levels and just a lot more to do, and the exploring aspect of the entire game not only makes it feel like a terrific Mario game, but it's Croc, and he's probably cooler than Mario. Number 3, time to croak some toads with Captain Bucky O'Hare. A lot of people never even heard of this character, and they quickly passed it over for the Nintendo, where you play as a green rabbit with a space laser who could also pilot a ship better than any other pilot in the known universe. Fighting against evil toads. I told you guys toads were evil, and you just happen to destroy everyone. The NES game is terrific, and people adore it. But the arcade game is also one of the best arcade experiences you could possibly have. It actually adds as a conclusion to the storyline from the cartoon, and it has full voice sampling, great effects, and the fact that you can play as your other favorite characters from the show with your friends means it's a great bonding time as well. This arcade game even outshined the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, even though that one was far more popular. Captain Bucky O'Hare may have been forgotten by a lot of people, but will never be forgotten by me. Number 2, Yoshi, the happy little dragon that could. That's right, he's not a dinosaur, he is a dragon living on dinosaur land. Hey, things get confusing when Nintendo gets involved. The world fell in love with him back in the Super Nintendo debut of Super Mario World, and he just started pumping out games ever since. Yes, he even got his own sequel to Super Mario World, where you get to play as Yoshi trying to save Mario for a change. Of course, this time around he's a little crying baby, but don't let that throw you off, because the graphics here and some of the effects are the very best the Super Nintendo can do. And they didn't stop there. With Yoshi's Cookie, you have one of the best puzzle games you will ever play. And also, you have Nintendo 64 games. People are still crunching out massive amount of Yoshi content, probably because he is such a cool character. However, he's not as big or as iconic as our number 1 favorite green little guy. Number 1, Frogger. What was with all that crap about frogs and toads being terrible when my number 1 choice was a frog? Well, Frogger has been around since the very beginning of video games, and he's not going away. This is Frogger on the Super Nintendo, a terrific version of Frogger, I might add. What, you'd rather be playing on the PlayStation 1? Well, think again, because the Super Nintendo might not have any music, but would you rather have music or bad music? Because I also got it here on the PS1, and the music is terrible. Also, the controls are so terrible, you much rather be playing the Super Nintendo version. But of course, it's also out on the Dreamcast with its own Frogger Adventure. This is a 3D action platformer, sort of like a puzzle game, because you have to figure out each little section with its own puzzle. The controls aren't exactly what you think they would be, but that's what makes the game original and fun. Otherwise, it would be like every other 3D platformer, and that's not what Frogger really does. The fact that you mix in a little bit of puzzle with a little bit of strategy and a whole lot of thinking means that you have one of the best, most iconic video game characters that ever was. And that's why Frogger is my number 1 pick for the very best green protagonist. But of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching.
When this is over, I say we perform a few experiments with Buddy.
Good technique, but that hat does nothing for me. Now how about you focus that extreme sports tail of yours on getting me out of here?
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it, and I played so many games here, more than any other time I've ever made a video I've recorded for this, which means it took extra long, but still, I think it was worth it because I got to explore one of the weirdest topics I think I ever covered. So what else out there do you think no one else will cover except for someone like me? Because I actually listen to you guys on what I put in my videos. So please let me know in the comments down below, and until later, I will see you again, guys.